external platforms also if they wish to go ahead. So we are open for both options. And with respect to fiber e-mobility, we have two options. We have both versions, like web version and app version. So both will be customer can use both, and we have multiple control features. Like for end client, we will be having limited access that can be set accordingly. So safety is again one more key aspect with respect to EV charging. Yes, we are taking care of all safety measures. So by automatic retention of the cable during charging, so that it will not create any arcs. If you are, no one can able to unplug until unless you stop. So this is one more important thing one should take care of. And we are taking care of all internal tensions, and we will be all our chargers will be looking into all internal tensions and all internal temperatures, so that if there is any temperature rises or if there is any abnormalities, immediately the charging sessions will terminate. And we are taking care of ground fault protections as well. We have RCDs inside our charger, so it will be keep on monitoring. If there is any leakage currents are there, immediately the charger will terminate the charging sessions, and we need to rectify the fault. Then only we can able to start charging sessions once again. So this will ensure the safety of the vehicle and charger both. A quick note on next developments, what we are aiming for. So, we are working on two products. One is hyper fast charger. So this is of 300 kilowatt capacity. Here, one big conversion cabin will be there of 300 kilowatt capacity, and output of this conversion cabin will be connected to multiple outlets, so that you can charge multiple vehicles at a time and you quickly as. So this is product which we are working on. And we have in medium range segment, we have a DC wall box of 25 kilowatt capacity. It will be having two guns. Either, again, customer can choose either CCS or Chadamo or combination of both. So these are the upcoming developments, and we will be launching soon these products as well. So this is one our installation reference as a pilot project we did in Bangalore IISc as a part of zero emission. So in Bangalore IISc, we installed one reactive inverter and one 1.4 kilowatt EV charger. So here, reactive inverter with a 5 kilowatt DC capacity and 4 kilowatt hour battery. So here there is no grid connected at this particular point. So it is completely this charging station is completely working with us from solar. So in the mornings, the load will be fed from solar. In the evenings, the load will be fed from batteries. So this is our pilot project. We did it in IISc Bangalore. So thanks a lot for joining the session.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful presentation. I would request my team to start with Fimer's video. I believe there's some technical error. Krishna Kumar, who is the project director of TSREDCO, Shri N. Mohan, who is the DGM and head electric vehicle charging infrastructure, CESF, Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, who is the vice president and head power markets, and Mr. Deepti Laviswan, who is the partner of HSA Advocates. So I would like to hand over to Dr. and Mr.
On the road. The idea is, I think all my co-panelists will agree with me on this point is, we cannot follow a Western model of electrification of vehicles in India here. And we should not also. So that is my personal belief also. The idea is we should not be saying that we'll go all cars out and we'll go with electric vehicles, but go on the backbone of public and shared mobility. So the buses and the three-wheelers form the backbone of that. And the idea should be to have minimum number of mobility segments of cars and two-wheelers on that. Now coming to your second part of the question on the charging infrastructure, I think that's a very important requirement for India. And a lot of investment has to go into the charging infrastructure from the public and the private sector side. But the idea is we need to have a deeper understanding of what kind of public charging infrastructure solutions we actually require. And to my mind, it will be a composite mix of traditional public charging infrastructure, which was shown in the previous presentation, along with different innovative business models like battery swapping, flash charging, and for different vehicle categories, there will be different vehicle charging infrastructure solutions that would definitely come up in the market, and we've already seen a food for thought here for all the listeners who are tuned in. You've seen 2 million electric rickshaws on the road, and it's a good case study for us to understand. That 2 million electric rickshaws are getting somehow charged, and we've not seen even an iota of public charging infrastructure in our public spaces. There are different business models. The first initial comment.
Thank you. We just learned that technically wise, coming up with chargers is no issue. So industry is around, is happy to provide. Let me pass on the word to the Ministry of Road and Transport. Would you agree to the numbers just mentioned, and what is your perspective, and how many chargers do you expect is required on public ground we require for in 25 and 30?
Dr. Dam, I don't think Dr. Kamal Soy is on the call, so we may not get that perspective.
Informed he couldn't join. I would request you to carry with the discussion with other speakers.
Yeah.
Let me pass on to Mr. Kumar from Telangana. What is your perspective from a state level view?
Good afternoon. So in this context, we have done certain basis of assumptions, and we are moving forward in terms of the city-wise is concerned in Hyderabad, especially.
But let me understand, would you follow Mr. Saxena in saying by 2030, he said even 7 years, 100% of two-wheelers and three-wheelers are being electrified, at least the new ones sold?
To a certain extent, I agree with that. But the states also has to ensure, states and central government has to ensure that has to happen. Because I don't say 100% we will be able to electrify the all two-wheelers. But yes, 70 to 80% on the voluntary basis, because of the keeping in view of the increasing fuel prices, people started thinking rationally towards shifting from the oil fuel-based mobility to the electric mobility side. And also recently the subsidy on the battery side has been increased from 10,000 to 15,000, which has helped the consumers to adopt to the electric mobility. And especially in our state, encourage the mobility to increase. What we are trying to do to start with this concept, we are giving the two-wheelers, we are proposing to give the two-wheelers on EMI basis to all the government employees initially, around 1 lakh or 1 lakh plus vehicles. Two-wheelers we are planning to the employees. So what will happen, we'll set an example to all other public. So slowly the adoption starts from the fuel-based mobility to the electric-based mobility. So if this kind of things is proposed from the government side itself, then it could be a very much reality that we will be able to meet the 100% two-wheeler conversion to electric mobility by 2030.
And how many cars would run, e-cars would run on the streets in Telangana, roughly, as a percentage of new sales?
Okay, we have some figures. The current, see, I am 30. See, on a vehicle growth rate, if you see on a private segment, we are expecting that there could be a 6.52% growth rate, and on a commercial segment also it is somewhere around 6 plus. So the penetration of EV, the number of EVs that will be available on roads by 2030 in Hyderabad would be somewhere around 1,36,000 private four-wheelers and 26,946 commercially. This is the four-wheelers what we are envisaging by 2030. That and keeping in view of this demand, we are planning for the charging stations penetration will happen, and the charging should not be a hurdle for them. So we are clubbing up with the Uber and Ola and taking the traffic data, and in those locations we are coming up with the maximum number of charging stations or the charging points to meet this growing demand or whatever we have projected for 2030.
So let me repeat those numbers. So you said roughly together 2 lakh. And if I take the European relation, I would guess 1/10 are required for charging stations. So you're planning about 20,000 charging stations to come up?
No,
Roughly?
no. I'm talking of 1 lakh. This thing, see, charging guns. If you look at the charging stations, will be somewhere around 6 plus 2, around 800 charging. An average of minimum of 5 guns per each charging station. But Dr. Dam, it is also that since the private vehicles are going to be more in number than the commercial segment, so people will have the liberty of charging the vehicle at their house also, because majority of the private.
Dr. Dam. So we, as a charge point operator, I think we expect more number of vehicles, electric vehicles on road by 2030. And we expect like close around 80 million electric vehicles would be there in the country by 2030, and of which close to 60% would be the two-wheelers, and around 10% would be three-wheelers. And the balance, like the four-wheeler segment, around 10%, and rest would be the electric buses and other logistic vehicle segment. So we expect close to 80 million electric vehicles on road, and considering the demand for the charging infrastructure for these vehicle segment, roughly would be requiring close to 400,000 charging points in the country. Here, let me also at least some of the charging infra challenges, especially when it comes to the vehicle segment. In India, like we have multiple charging protocols. As a charge point operator, I may need to build up different charging protocols to enable charging facility for different EV user segment. If you look at the two and the three-wheelers segment, most of the OEMs are coming up with their own proprietary connectors and the protocols. This becomes a big challenge for any charge point operator to build OEM-specific connectors for in the public charging facility. To some extent, I would see in the DC fast charging for electric four-wheelers, there is a kind of standardization which we foresee in the market in the coming years. So, seeing the recent electric vehicle OEMs approach, the most of the long-range EVs are coming up with the P+2 connectors, and we see this would help at least like industry, the charge point company also. So we could look at like putting up more number of compatible chargers for the electric four-wheeler segment, where we have a clarity like which connectors should be more prominent in the coming years. And coming back to the charging infra, we estimate it's 400,000, a combination of both the public and the charging infrastructure. Out of 400,000 charging infrastructure, close to 30% would be the public charging stations, which will have both the slow and the fast charging points. Unlike the Western world, we see India would be requiring more high capacity DC fast charging points. The reason being, India doesn't have that kind of urban infrastructure where the households will have dedicated garage points where they could park the electric vehicles and do an overnight charging. Most of the user base would still be requiring or relying on the public charging infrastructure for the mobile. Definitely, this is the market is going to bring more utilization to the charging infrastructure. So these are my initial comments. Probably I'll take a pass and maybe I can add more points.
Thank you. Yes. Now we have set the scene for Mr. Ranjan from BSES. As a DISCOM, how this can be provided, and what are you expecting in regards of demand to the grid coming up, and what are the sizes of public charging stations you expect or you fear? I just learned that most of the public charging might be fast chargers.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ram. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to have a good city model, which is low power charging, maybe pole mounted charging, well across, well distributed. That is one. Second is destination charging, which is semi-public and public, including home charging, which is again low power, which is going to take care of much of the charging needs. Fast chargers will be there, yes. There are fast charger locations, which ESL, CSL is already doing that in collaboration with us, with NDMC, etc. They will also be coexisting, but for a piece of some of the shared mobility, because shared mobility people also are having their own captive charging. Now, coming to the question of demand, when you talk about demand, in Delhi, for example, in BACS area only, we have about around 10,000 MVA worth capacity of distribution transformer. So when you talk about 10,000 MVA megavolt ampere, it is a huge number. Power will never be a challenge, and is never a challenge in terms of renewable power as well, because we are now going for green open access or even green power. We are greening the portfolio. When you talk about the network, the if you dissect the load duration curve and the demand curve, you feel that 10,000 MVA is still out of this. Maybe we have 50% capacity is still available in certain periods.
Helped us and boosted this revolution. I personally feel that it has really helped push the revolution. But at the same time, there is a lot of anxiety amongst purchasers or buyers or users, the end users, about the charging infrastructure. So I think we should gear up to that. The other point that I would like to make is, while we have our MOP guidelines in 2018, some amendments to the electricity in 1920, the delicensing clarification that came out by MOP and CEA about no license requirement for charging stations. They were all brilliant, and I really commend the recent August report of Niti Aayog on charging infrastructure. It is a beautiful booklet, and I will really encourage everybody to take a look at that. I think we should focus also on connectors. I think one of my panelists mentioned about focus.
You by 2030, especially for three-wheelers, you could see maybe not 100%, but definitely very high numbers of electrification, right? 60%, 70%, optimistically maybe even 80%, right? Similarly for two-wheelers, you're going to see very high percentage of electrification there. Then you've got the buses and commercial vehicles, right? That will become the second wave of electrification, right? Driven by state government organizations, GCC contracts, and even for light commercial vehicles which are involved in last mile mobility, last mile delivery, urban applications, and so they will become the second wave. The last wave is going to be personal cars, right? We don't expect more than 8, 9, 10% of personal cars to be electrified by 2030, right? Because clearly the focus or emphasis is on mass market electrification. That's number one. The second one is business models, right? We are talking about electric charging infrastructure at the moment, but business models are going to be equally important, right? Today we are already talking about vehicle as a service, battery as a service, battery swapping, multiple business models which are essentially making electric mobility more attractive for adoption, right? If, for example, when you say battery as a service, right, you're taking the battery price out of the equation. Suddenly, you're making the electric vehicle very attractive to own. If you take the battery price of the equation, which is typically about 40 or 45% of the electric vehicle cost. So
I start again with Mr. Saxena. What are the issues we should work on now, and where we need to find a solution?
Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Dan. I think, see, the idea is the biggest challenge and the biggest impediment that I see in the charging infrastructure, and I think that will be one of the innovative solutions if we can come up with, is this. So, we at Niti Aayog have done a time series analysis on how much does it take for a person to get around 400 to 500 kilometers on an internal combustion engine. So if I go to a petrol pump at this point of time, it takes me somewhere around a time of 8 to 12 minutes to get my tank filled and get a 400, 500 kilometer kind of a range. Infrastructure spread all across the country. That is something that we are trying to develop, and we've actively worked with Department of Heavy Industries in this regard of having a minimum level of charging infrastructure across the country that would not be suitable for for a scenario of 20
roads. So that is our greatest challenge. But otherwise, the charging as such, whatever the glitches that are there right now, from the electricity upfront electricity cost wise or whatever, the proper business model is being drafted out, so that it will be complemented from the state or from the private agencies and all. Some of the charging stations are going to come up basically, but the demand survey, locating of the charging, siting of the charging, and the accessibility are the major things right now we have to focus. But once these are focused and installed, quickly we should ensure that the vehicles should come onto the roads.
Great, thank you. Mr. Mohan, same perspective? It's a problem of the demand? So supply of charging station is no issue?
Otherwise the user would lose their confidence, and even the pricing, there is a big pricing difference between the charge point operator to the charge point operator. We need to increase the convenience for the EV users. I think the time has come where we all should complement each other's effort by sharing most of the information which is available with the charge point operators and also with the EV OEM partners. And simultaneously, we should look at like interoperability as one of the prime requirement to increase the convenience to the EV users.
But I'm sure you're working on solutions to those issues.
Yes, we are trying to build some of the pilot with the complementing CPUs, but I think largely we feel the information sharing from the EV OEMs has to be somewhere captured, so at least the charge point companies can look at like what is the sales in a particular city and the states, so charge point companies can build.
That's a great suggestion that the OEMs would, let's say, make it more transparent what kind of sales they had and what they are envisaging. Passing on the word to Mr. Ranjan, what are your main challenges? So I learned the electricity.
You go widespread, you play in volumes, you change the mindset. While you are working, let your vehicle also work. Why do you need to go to a massive charging station, get yourself refilled in 5 minutes, 400 kilometers? Why? It's not required. So the change in mindset A, and providing visible, low cost, demystified, simplified solution. Just like charging your vehicle or giving range to your vehicle is just like flipping your AC switch. As easy as that. So even a simple person can do it. You don't need a person to manage the charging station and he will refill your car. No, not required. Over to you, Dr. Dan.
What would you perceive as a main need some solution?
Thank you. Right. Thank you, Dr. Dan. I think, private investments into the sector, that is something which will be very, very key. And, currently, I'm myself advising a few companies who want to enter the charging infrastructure or who are about to enter, this sector. And they have a lot of questions about, the subsidy scheme for the charging infrastructure. There are certain, other, I wouldn't really, blame or say these are negatives, but I think, I would say this is how it is in the policy right now, and we could perhaps better it. For example, the subsidy that can be availed is only for the charging, SEV, as in the unit, and not anything else. But we all know that there is other additional and perhaps significant expense. Everybody's agreeing that land or site or rental for a charging station is a very key expense, right? So I think we can tweak some things here and there so that we increase private investments once the private sector is coming forward, taking a step to help the government boost this. This psyche of people that how long will the vehicle run will go away. and get completed. And the other thing about information sharing, I think that's a brilliant suggestion. Some of the information sharing is already happening, pursuant to some of the MOP guidelines and rules, electricity rules, which is supposed to be handled by the CEA. But currently the website unfortunately has a lot of backdated data. But I think some of these types of amendments can also be taken so that this information sharing goes out. We have the same problem with ICE engines of petrol and diesel. A vehicle can go for 200 or 300 kilometers, and same for charging. But we need to change the psyche that it is a similar manner, and obviously the government is taking steps, and all stakeholders are taking steps to boost the charging infrastructure in the country.
Thank you very much. Before I pass on the final word to my colleague Koshik to end the session, I'd like to thank everyone for your participation. And let me close with three remarks, especially looking at the audience. So if you want to have more information on e-mobility, kindly check our website greenmobility-library.org. It's being run as a public library, free of cost, greenmobility-library.org, where you can check all relevant material in the sector. Second one, for the private enterprises who are into, let's say, setting up charging stations, encourage you doing so, because as we learned, land is an issue. But as we have learned too, e-mobility is here to stay. It's going to come and stay. So the charging stations are being, let's say, set up now. And if you're the owner of the prime spot for that land, you will have most likely this prime spot for quite a long time. And this gives you a lot of opportunity business-wise for many other things as well. And probably the last thing, just as my experience, more than 10 years back, I had been in Leipzig out and being in charge for e-mobility at that point in time, running the first small cars, e-cars. We had a workshop in rural Germany somewhere. Then I came to the hotel and I requested them, where's the next charging point or where's the next gas station? And they said, oh, we are so sorry. This is a very small village. And I told them, and then finally they provided me a standard plug and I got my car refilled overnight and everyone was happy. So as Abhishek Ranjan told us, there's so many more charging stations around in India already available for anyone in comparison to those gas stations. Kaushik, back to you for your final words, and I hope we stick somehow to the timeline.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Dam. Just to be very brief, sorry, I had a technical connection issue earlier. So just 2 points I want to make. One,
Okay. So there is a question in Tamil Nadu, Coimbatore. We are planning to open a charging station in between. Uh, so this is not a proper question. Why are the petrol stations not adding a charging point? This is the question from one of our attendees.
So I think each place is in a big market, and as such, like presently, I don't see a major competition. I think we need to complement each other, enabling more infra for the country.
And to add, I'm aware that the city of Delhi has advertised or will advertise quite some charging station and is looking for competition in that area too.
Yeah.
I would like to end the session now. So thank you very much all our panelists for this insightful session and hope there is a lot
business standard report, India would need around 4 lakh charging stations by 2026 for 2 million electric vehicles. And as of today, we have about 1,800 charging stations. The 1,800 charging stations to 4 lakh, vehicle is getting charged, there is a lot of heat dissipation that happens, and it's important to understand the CFD and thermal aspects as well. And one could also look at the electromagnetic simulations and other aspects like strength, stiffness, durability, connector analysis, that is for different AC charge or DC charge with different pins. Looking at cell engineering, some of the simulation workflows typically look at this particular domain, like the battery manufacturers and all, are looking at the electrochemical performance, trying to understand the safety aspects, and so on. And moving a level up, if you look at the module and pack engineering aspects, the thermal management, we could look at thermal management studies, trying to understand stationary, and the charger unit, which is cooled by the radiator, and here we have to ensure that the maximum coolant temperature is maintained. And on the thermal requirement side, we have to ensure that there is sufficient airflow coming in from the fan, and the hot air from the radiator exit is also, the recirculation is limited, and also when the battery is getting charged up, there is a lot of heat dissipation that happens, and we need to ensure that this is properly dissipated without having to go back to the radiator exit. So when the CFD simulation, say, is performed on a baseline design for a particular scenario, it was, observed that a lot of heat, which was getting, generated due to the charging process, was getting recirculated back to the. As you can see, we have just seen a few cases of batteries, then the thermal and CFD simulations and the electromagnetic simulations, and how they can play a role, in understanding the system better and for improving the efficiency. So, to summarize, we have a strong simulation technology that can be used virtually.
Technical issue. My screen is working to fix it. Please allow us a minute. I believe there's some technical issue, so we won't waste any further time over here. So without any further ado, I would now start with the second discussion. And in our elite panel, we have Ms. Chandana Sasidharan, who is the Principal Research Associate, Alliance for an Energy Efficient Economy, and also the session chair for the day. Shri Randhir Singh, who is the Director, Electric Mobility of NITI.
Positive outlook towards electrification of transport. But for the adoption of electric vehicles, multiple factors, including the cost of the vehicle itself, range anxiety is a concern that we have to address from the consumer. And primarily, availability of a charging station becomes a significant barrier for EV uptake in this case. And electric mobility and associated technologies is a rapidly evolving ecosystem right now. While many of the vehicle technologies are currently being tested sufficiently in real-world situations, some of the technologies, as Geeta ma'am mentioned, like wireless charging, are being tested, or there are some other technologies which are at a prototype stage. So what we are going to cover is what are the recent technology advancements, future trends, what is the R&D direction, what are the key considerations we have while
So you are on mute, we cannot hear you.
It seems we are in a day of technical difficulties.
Power, or you're going to have less losses, and because of that, you can decrease the operational cost of the whole EVSE system. So, in that regard, there are a lot of research is happening, and currently most of the EVSEs using silicon-based IGBTs in their devices. They're little compared to the newer technologies, they're little inefficient. so their efficiencies are good. But compared to the newer technologies, they're little inefficient. So their efficiencies are good. But at system level, I can say for the faster charging, people are working morely on the dual gun charging, pantograph chargings, which are very high power chargings. And in some cases, because of the high power, there are a lot of heat generated. So there are liquid cooled cables also being used. And for the convenience thing, wireless power transfer is one thing, and there is another thing called.
Uh, all right. I'm going to continue the chain, okay? Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm going to continue this conversation. I'm going to go through the chain. I'm going to go to Gundrao, sir. Sir, are you
current tenders and even upcoming tenders also. So it is coming up with respect to AC, they are suggesting to go ahead with Type 2, and with respect to DC, they are suggesting to go ahead with CSH2, which is a good move from respective authorities. That is what my view on standardization. And with respect to interoperability, yes, again this is one. Whereas again the and some X customer, again, so if you take some Y customer, they will be having their own web servers, and they support only their one particular type of charges, whereas and YX supports one particular type of charges, but there is no link between X and Y with respect to identifying the charging stations in particular area. And with respect to payment gateways, for example, if customer goes to one station, so he should be able to otherwise if he opens one particular app, he should be able to see all the EV charging stations in that particular area. Right now that is not happening at this moment, because different manufacturers are different EV charging station managers, they are using different applications and they are not connected to each other. That is major thing, we need to look into it. So the CMS management, they need to collaborate each other, they need to share the information between each other, so that one common platform should be there to share the availability and to share the locations and availability and payment gateways of different EV stations. That will be it will become very easy for user. Otherwise, is if each and every station manager have their
is working particularly on the electric bus fleets and as a charge point operator? Maybe I can direct the question on buses to you. We heard on the charging technology trend for buses, but the question to you is like, particularly on the perspective of buses, where there are very innovative charging solution. What are your views on where the technology trends of buses for India, and where can we place India particularly in this technology map? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Chandana, and the organizers for having this session today. It's really a pleasure to be connecting with the industry friends and colleagues here. Before starting on the question of technology and the trend, I believe firstly we need to understand as a charging business and a charging kind of a portfolio. We have heard about the various product, the kind of a technologies and the services. I think previous speakers have given their views. But we need to understand one thing. Charging as a service or charging as an infrastructure or charging as a product, we are here to follow, not our own trend. We are here to follow trends of OEMs. If it is bus, so it means important here is to understand which direction the electric bus industry is moving. And importantly, including that electric bus industry, the battery. I have a clear-cut standardization in terms of my charger deployment. I am okay to talk about the interoperability, but for me, beyond interoperability and standardization, important is, do I have a redundancy plan in terms of making sure if my charger performance is not good, what is my plan B? How the efficiency of my product or the network which I have put up, does it is giving some pennies in terms of saving from the electricity consumption, because that is a cost to me. And then importantly, my customer business is a continuously evolution business in terms of scalability. Does my product, technology and infrastructure or the product or the service which we have planned as a system integrator or as a solution provider or as a managed services partner, whether that will be comfortably and conveniently used by the people? Because ultimately it is the people who have to use it. If they are not comfortable, if they are not conveniently able to use it, or because of people, my network is not going to sustain for a particular contract period and I'm making losses. So those things make more fundamental for me. So that is why in our way of looking at the stuff in terms of charging infrastructure and technology is one, once we understood, deployed all those things, does my adaptation of a technology or a particular infrastructure planning fulfill two fundamental things of any business? One, the route planning of my customers in terms of having a charging time availability. So it means efficiency and the charging time become very, very crucial. And the route planning, where my I'm deploying my charger, its capacity, the number of chargers. So those things will give me an optimum kind of an efficient way of looking at for a particular technology adaptation. And then in terms of ROI, am I able to make sure whatever product, technology, and the charger I have deployed does in terms of utilization of that product? It is just being underutilized, or how I have some projection and potential to make sure it reaches to a sufficient level. Today, ensuring sustainability of that technology and then making a roadmap in terms of having that factorization into place. Okay, tomorrow, if we have to add on any more integration, we should be in a position to do that. But at least for next 3 years, DC fast charging is the way forward, which we are targeting and we are following as of today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manoj sir. That was really a wider coverage of the area. But for the sake of time, I'm going to request the
units, 4040 units per day. When a person comes to charge his car or her car, the car usually takes up 30 units of energy. So to charge a single car, you have to invest in more than 3 to 4 lakh rupees of solar energy there. So having solar energy directly converted to power which can be supplied to EV is a completely failed idea, and it will never work anywhere across the world. One thing that might work is ESS, the energy storage subsystems. ESS is something which in India is very growing right now. A lot of different companies and new startups are working on it. So ESS can store the energy from different solar systems and then output them when needed. Right now, as with the solar when it was 10 years ago, ESS is very, very, very expensive. But down the line, when more localization happens, more and more companies, larger companies come into it, ESS will be a good thing.
The BIS standard is out and made in India, electric vehicle supply equipment has been tested and recommended in that. The cost of this EVSE is now currently predicted is around 3,500 rupees, and already some companies are ready to provide these. Of course, initially economies of scale would be demanded by these firms. And talking about the FAME 2, it has capped aside INR 1,000 crore rupees for the EV charging infrastructure. And in the latest, in fact, it was done in February, around February of this year, the tendering, and all the highways will have the slow charge point at every 25 kilometers on either side of the highways. BIS to promote interoperability would be a game changer. In fact, regarding the battery swapping and interoperability, already work is at very high level and at very advanced level. Things like connectors, dimensions, etc., can be actually considered for promoting the interoperability and proliferation of battery swapping stations in your country. In addition to this, India has a tropical climate and different usage conditions. Hence, the battery requirement is totally different than other countries. The battery has to operate, that means a charge and discharge at higher temperature, up to 48 degrees centigrade, in fact. So that type of charging is best suitable is also one question here. I think the battery swapping would be more feasible because the charging and the discharging is regulated and it will increase the battery life. Plus, you the battery, which is a big saving, upfront cost also, and in the long run. So I'm confident that with the government program and the multi-pronged charging strategy from existing and new OEMs, the opportunity would be seized. I think with this revenue streams, so that it becomes more viable and economical for the owner. Then, with respect to a charging infrastructure, the things which you typically need to look into before charging infrastructure is first is the location of the charging infrastructure. The land requirement and the location plays a very major role because, as everybody said, the utilization is very low today. It's less than 10%. So the utilization can only increase if the location is right and feasibility. Do you have the electrical connection available? Can you get the EV tariff meter installed from the discom? Can you get the NOC from the land? So to go ahead with that, you will need NOC from the landowner. You will need an agreement, proper agreement between the landowner, the PCS operator, as well as the discom rates on the tariff for the EVs. So to take that benefit, you need to take care of all these NOCs also. Once you have the sanction in place, there might be a possibility that you need to upgrade the electrical infrastructure because the transformer might not be sufficient to take care of the EV infrastructure. So all these things come into picture. Then after the discom part, like the electrical infrastructure goes is there, then you need to look at the site layout and how you execute the entire infrastructure. So these are the major things which need to be considered when we talk about any kind of an EV charging infrastructure setup. Last but not the least, once the setup is there, service and maintenance play a very major role in ensuring that the life of 10 years is achieved with that infrastructure. It should be future proof.
All right. Thank you so much, Vedant, sir. So
be having networking for 1 hour. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So it's time to move with today's third and last session. In the third session, we will be having two presentations followed by the panel discussion. So, starting with the first presentation, where we will be having about the fiberglass enclosures for EV chargers by Mr. Sankalp Mehta, who is the Vice President, Sumit Composites Private Limited. On the screen, sir.
Is my presentation like visible?
Yes, sir, your presentation is visible. You can go ahead with it.
Okay. Good evening, expert panelists, and the entire very well informed community here on EV. I would just want to take a couple of minutes to talk about how we, as Sumit Composites, have been participating in this entire backbone of the Indian auto industry. The idea, it's a sense of pride that it is instilled upon us that we are able to participate in such a ever growing industry, but also there is a very stark responsibility that is on us to provide a qualitative infrastructure that will help in years to come strengthen India's transition to renewables. I would now start with telling you a little bit about composites before I start with what we are doing in composites. So, composites are any two materials engineered to form a superior material, right? The idea being that it's an engineered product, thereby, you can have certain qualities which are not traditionally possible with, let's say, a traditional material like steel. We at Sumit Composites are experts and pioneers for the last 5 decades in fiberglass products. This is mainly consisting of two raw materials, one being a polymer resin and the other one being electronic glass. And this is combined in different processes to provide an industry leading product with unparalleled. We are also known for production capabilities that we have, well as our products which have set benchmarks in their particular segments. I would now just wish to share a one-liner with you on specific to what our products do. Our poles are standing tall. If you look at the Sardar Sarovar Dam in front of Statue of Unity, you'll see that a 250 kilometer per hour wind fiberglass pole is installed there. Enclosures is our fastest growing category. Cable trays, we have one of Asia's largest production of 6 kilometers a day. And we do cylinders as well as electrical conduits. So what are we doing here? The idea is that we, like all companies, are vocal for local and want to support the ongoing budding EV ecosystem. We have developed a lineup of products which would help in fast tracking this transition to EV. We work with startups and we work with established players to quickly scale the infrastructure for EV kits. I'll play a small AV to demonstrate our enclosures facility. like you've seen, more than 50% of our facility currently runs on solar power. We are also moving really quickly when it comes to renewables, and we have our carbon neutral targets, which will again push for a greener product. This is one of our EV charging kits that we supply to startups and to established companies from our standard products. This would include the enclosure system and the pedestal, completely done in fiberglass with game changing advantages. Let me just show you how we can get advantages with fiberglass. These are some of the advantages that fiberglass brings to the table. The main one being it never gets corroded. It has an internal testing life of close to 30 years, and that itself will save you a lot of replacements. When it comes to the IP, we go up to IP67 for our hot press molded models, like you saw. It can withstand extreme temperatures of minus 40 degrees, going upwards of 120 degrees Celsius. We comply by IK10, which is one of a hammer test, which is one of the leading standards for rigidity. The next one, and the main, is that it's non-conductive. Any kind of metal enclosure that is supplied to an EV charging company can be a risk if not to the customer. So we have a material which is non-conductive, and we comply by UL 94 for flame retardant properties. Of course, we don't use any toxins in our production. We are UV resistance. This product won't have a residual value apart from the specific application. It's lighter than traditional materials, and it has insulating properties which will not let the extreme heat of the Indian environment get disturb the product. To sum up what we do in our kits, Sumeep team is always innovating to keep up with applications that includes IoT, solar, renewables, and with the enclosure lineup, we have a tailored kit specific for EV charging needs, which can be customized, and we have a huge lineup of standard products which can fit very well in the EV ecosystem. The enclosure can be customized, and you will be provided with all engineering support. So when it goes to you, you just fit in your electronics, screw them in, and you are set to make your own charger in India. Our products where we have in single gun and dual gun outputs. To reiterate, we don't make chargers. We enable companies to build the best chargers. The idea being behind Sumeep Composites that we want to be accelerating this e-mobility mission towards India, and we want to provide our customers with very best, with industry leading standards. We already have a lot of installations in Gujarat, and our customer base continues to grow as all leading companies participate with us to drive this change. I would just like to take a minute to thank you all. And if you have any inquiries of how we could work together or collaborate, please reach out to us on ev@sumeep or the mentioned WhatsApp number. My team will be very happy and excited to help you. This is all from my side, and I hope that this product and this product line brings advantages to you and your product lines, and together we can take on the Indian EV market. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sankalp sir, for the wonderful presentation and letting us know about your interesting product. It's time for our second presentation of the session, which is on smart, intelligent, and efficient EV network by Mr. Praveen Kumar, who is the CEO of Go Ego Network. Welcome on screen, Praveen sir.
I'm just my presentation.
Yes,
Confirm
sir.
if
We can see the screen. Yes, sir.
am I audible. Confirm if you. So I don't know if well.
are you not able to present your screen?
So I don't know if you can.
So we cannot hear you. So I would just request, can you leave and rejoin again? I believe there is some technical error. So if you can do that, please. If you are not able to.
Afternoon. Can you hear me?
Praveen sir is having some technical or connectivity error.
Hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Finally.
Priyanshi,
So,
may I request you to go ahead with the next session. I will connect with Praveen on backstage and.
Yes,
you can hear me
Praveen
now.
sir, we are not able to connect to you at this moment. So by the time we can start with the panel discussion, and
You can't.
yes, sir, we can hear you.
So I just want to start. I think there. Uh,
So there's some technical issue. Unfortunately, we are not able to hear you properly. I would request, can you keep your camera off and just keep the mic on, if that helps? Can you just try it once?
yeah. Is it better now? Can you hear me?
I'm so sorry to say we are not able to hear you properly. So I believe we should go ahead with the panel discussion, and as soon as we connect with Praveen sir again, we can have his presentation. So now we'll be starting with the panel discussion on digital and smart technology trends for a better charging experience. And the session, we have panel experts like Mr. Javed Firoz, who is the EV industry expert, and also our moderator, Mr. Sandeep Bangia, who is the business head EV charging ecosystem of Tata Power, Mr. Kedar Suman, who is the CTO and co-founder of eBikeGo, Mr. Kumar Verma, who is the head of digital transformation, Volvo HR Commercial Vehicles Limited, Ms. Sapna Ahuja, who is the Chief Operating Officer of My India, Mr. Amit Arora, who is the CEO of Lodex, Mr. Vijayanand Jayaram, who is the Associate Director of Software, Vehicle and Charging Infrastructure of Ola Electricity Mobility Private Limited, and Mr. Praveen Kumar, who is the CTO of GoEGo Network. Welcoming all the panelists on screen, and I'm handing it over to Javin sir. Over to you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to discuss today on this subject. And today, talking about electric vehicles and vehicle charging infrastructures and technologies. So now this is the era where it is we are seeing a fast-paced technological revolution, and this is where we are. Once it was a dream, and today it's a reality. So the electric vehicle is realized. It's already no more a dream, and it is realized. It's on roads. It's flying everywhere. Now the real challenge of scaling it up today we will discuss about how digital technologies like AI, artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchains help achieve a better charging experience. So in the information technology, now that everything is down to one thing, that is digitally managed technology. As there is more scope of digital platforms in EV space, I would invite Sandeep can you kindly share your views on the importance of digital platforms in EV charging space?
Sandeep sir, you're on mute. We cannot hear. Can you please answer?
Okay, sorry. So, hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for having me on the panel and amongst all the luminaries here. Uh, Javin, you touched the right question by talking about the digital platform. I think, to my mind, a digital platform is the heart and soul of a charging infrastructure. Really, uh, there is a hardware that is involved, obviously, but what actually connects the charger and the car and the customer, 3C's ecosystem is the hardware, is the digital platform. This is the enabler. This is the possibly the uh, crucial link to ensure that the charging infrastructure is up and running. Why is it very important? I think three or four key reasons. Number one, the digital platform is really very critical to a real-time diagnostics at the back end, which means for somebody like us who are running currently 600 plus chargers, we can know the health of a particular charger remotely from wherever we are, and we are able to take proactive actions. That if there is a problem in the particular charger before the customer actually reaches there, our people can go and rectify that issue. This is a real-time diagnostics and response. Second part is the analytics and the MIS. MIS is the less important piece, but analytics is the more important piece. We get to know the uh, from the remote location where the charging is less or more, where there is a car waiting next to a charger, so that we can put up one charger next to the other, or wherever there is less utilization, we can figure out from remote and decide whether you want to place a charger somewhere else. Those are the kind of things which are operational. And the third thing is the uh, for the businesses or for the end customer, that is a very critical link to ensure that his business is running. Example, for fleets, there is a specific segment which is available of the digital platform, which actually enables the functioning of fleets of the bus of a particular corporate of a particular tariff plan. So those are the kind of things that the platform does. And over and above that, I think the digital platform is more encompassing. The big thing is that it is capable of charging capabilities, which means that if there are multiple cars that come into play, it uses its smart, quote unquote, smartness to ensure that the grid does not get over, or a particular transformer does not get overloaded. Uh, or it very simply can be that if there is a discount at between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, set it up and say that you please charge my car only at that discounted hour, like that. So I think it's a very critical component to my mind of the charging infrastructure, which is a platform. And I think this is where I think we have invested hugely, very heavily, to really make it work. And that's exactly where we are the differentiator. We are the differentiator when it comes to the end customer. whether it is the retail customer or an enterprise customer or a fleet customer or a bus authorities and stuff like that. So that's I think broadly what I had to say. Yeah, Javed, back to you.
Thank you, Sandeep. That was very insightful and indeed, I think the right person making the right comments, not only covering a single type of vehicle but also the entire fleet of vehicles. And talking about charging, the first thing comes to our mind is range of vehicle. Basically, how much it's going to run, because that's a question any customer would have. So this is a $1 million question everyone is anxious about. So I asked Sapna, can you give some insight on how can technology help with range anxiety challenges for the EV car owners?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I, See, range anxiety, we all know that's the biggest challenge to EV. And, it's a chicken and egg problem. Individuals don't want to buy an EV because they are concerned about and awareness of a charge station infrastructure. At the same time, there are concerns from the charge station infrastructure providers and charge station operators because they are not sure if there are enough EVs available. So hence, it's really important for us to solve that challenge around range anxiety. What we are doing in this space, we are trying to ensure that all the charge stations get mapped so that in a uniform view through various mobile applications, through various technologies, while people are driving, they are able to see where the nearby charge station is. That's like the fundamental thing. So that's what we are trying to aggregate the charge station now data points on the same platform. Uh, in addition to that, what we're trying to do is we are trying to add uh, dynamic attributes related to the charge stations. So for example, what kind of plug types are supported by what kind of vehicles, what kind of, whether a booking of charge station is possible remotely by people. And at a later stage, maybe if the payments can also be enabled. But of course, while we have a core platform layer, that while that is available, it is very important for the charge station infrastructure or basically the charger itself to be able to communicate to some platform. And hence, there's a role of IoT, there's a role of artificial intelligence that comes into play. So unless we put all these things together and give that kind of comfort to the EV owners, really the growth of I think the growth of EV mobility, electric vehicle mobility, is really dependent uh, on giving that comfort to the end users. And that's what we feel that technology, be it GIS, be it IoT sensors, a backend mobile applications, AI, all these things together can really make it happen. And of course, the charge stations themselves, they need to be connected. That's really important. And they need to support the information around availability and payments and booking as well. And that's really from my side.
Thank you, Sapna. Thanks for that insight. And now it's evident that the industry is already focusing on various solutions to improve the range. Next comes a major challenge to commonize the usage of EV charging facilities and infrastructures, basically. So EV industries is keen on adopting innovative and differentiated smart payment methods and similar ideologies related to commonizing these platforms. So I ask Brijesh, can you share your thoughts on driving differentiated customer experience through data acquisition and advanced analytics to co-create immersive insight and value drivers for the EV customers?
So, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being at this forum. So, my take is when I see this overall industry is booming it up, and we are transitioning from the local convention fuel ecosystem to the EV ecosystem. So largely the lot of pressure and insight will be there while we design and created the backend infrastructure. And on top of that infrastructure, how would you know build up the customer oriented services, and how you know connect the customers with those services basically. So my take is I see this from the three angles basically. One is how the technology is embedded with the the core infrastructure itself, which is your stations, charging station, the knobs and lot of other things. So one is the core infrastructure which has put in across at the charging station. Second is building up the lot of innovative and intuitive services for the charging experience. Gone are days when for the conventional fuel, you need not to spend too much of time, right? But in case of EV, you have to spend some time, right? Being outside charging stations. So how would you keep them engaged at those stations? That will play a big question. How to engage them better at the as a customer experience during the charging. And third is last, how you are creating a proactive insights for the customers post the charging. So one is how you are enabling the charging station a differentiated experience. Second is how would you engage your customer experience during the charging, and third is the post. So technology will play a huge role in terms of getting up the lot of data insight from the structured and unstructured data from the devices, from the connected chargers and lot of other data, and how you are making it and rolling it up to create innovative solutions for them. So be it a alert, be it responsive messagings to them that about how far your stations are, what kind of the, like the Sapna says, by far you can get it your charging stations. So all those enablers will come from lot of data which will get absorbed from the IoT layer, starting from the generation of data to the visualization basically. So the lot of infrastructure will play a role here. Earlier gone are days when we are having uh, uh, you know the vehicles which are not anything specific, so they do not require the backend infrastructure anywhere, they keep on running and there are isolated format. But likely in the ev sector, the customers expectation are a bit different. They are demanding into this sector, and they want a unified and better experience into this segment, and they do not want to use multiple apps around it. So likely the lot of unification happening into the infrastructure side. Similar unification we will see it at the technology infrastructure side also, to use the common pool of common network infrastructure, common network open source technology, and sharing of the data will become a key enabler for the joint exercise for the big big EV players basically into this segment. So that's how I look at it, making the customer experience more better by not putting lot of open experience centers, but to have the closed networks and data shared amongst the big players around the EV charging facilities.
Yeah, that is some very interesting information, Priyesh. Thanks for sharing it with us. And scaling up the EV infrastructure and charging station in this digitized world, like everybody is now used to everything digital and everything is in your palm, and we are already enjoying the benefits. Even a person from outskirts of the countryside would have an idea on what a cloud-based system is. So this is how fast the industry is moving, and this is how things are growing. So I will ask Praveen, and of course I'll be asking to Vijayanand as well soon on the same. Like, Praveen, how do you see smart management of charging stations through cloud connectivity, remote configuration, data acquisition, energy management, and OCPP outlook?
Thanks. I hope you guys can hear me. I think there were some glitches in the last attempt.
Yes.
Okay. If you look at the complete EV infrastructure system, these are called smart devices. So the basic expectation for everyone who's going to be the EV members is that that you can access it whenever you want. It's not like that. If you go to a gas station or a restaurant, or even in the parking station, or in the basement, you should be able to use the charging station. And the cloud computing, cloud connectivity comes into play as well, because I think Bridges mentioned that will be a lot of data sharing among the different players, and cloud can definitely enable in this data sharing among the different players also, and making it also very, very, very cost effective. And if you look at the data acquisition part, if I can build upon that, I can give you one of the examples. So like when I was still in Netherlands, so McDonald was putting a lot of EV chargers, which was around 50 kilowatt. And after running these chargers for a couple of 1.5 years, to be precise, and the Vattenfall was the company, the CPU who was providing these chargers. The company came and shared the data that approximately the people who are in the who were spending around 27 minutes between the time they plug in their EVs and the time they get their car out. So what McDonald did, that knowing this data points, they requested Vattenfall to upgrade the charging station from 50 kilowatt to 175 kilowatt. And they started also giving the discount to the consumer who are visiting those restaurants, McDonald restaurants. So this is the let's say the power of how to say the data, how you could monetize directly or indirectly. And if you look the OCPP, I think OCPP is definitely playing a big role in making this whole communication, which is open source, and ability to interoperability test between the different companies. India is such a big market that I would request that all the parties definitely to follow the standards, because this is not something where we could have a closed network or closed protocol, and we can win let's the pan India network. And OCPP also help you in the ease of charging, for example. So I think most of the systems currently are OCPP 1.6 compliant. But if you just move a bit further, there's no need to carry the mobile app as well. You don't need to also carry the RFID card. Just you plug and the charging starts, because the charger knows the vehicle knows the charges. There is a backend built in behind the system where all the payment collection and all the settlements are settled there. So I think with the cloud computing, the OCPP protocol, and all these data points, we could really make the life much easier for EV consumer. But at the same time, also for the installers who are going to put a lot of capex to install these chargers, to really know what's going on. And with the OCPP, you can also do the remote configuration. Knowing, I think I heard someone mentioning also about the not putting a lot of load on the grid. So you can create a lot of profiles, and you can remotely set it up depending upon the time of the day. Yeah, I think that's it from my side for now.
Thank you, Praveen. That was very much interesting as well. Vehicles connecting directly to the grid, and grid, knowing which vehicle is connected. That is something going to be a fascinating technology. Of course, if it is already been discussed, then someone is already working on it. And great to see this technology is already working. And next, I will be asking Vijayanand on a same subject, because I think the company which he is representing currently has taken a mammoth task of taking up a challenge of bringing such a massive numbers of electric vehicles into India, and making us all proud as well in this situation. And I will be asking Vijayanand as well, like how you see this entire infrastructure connecting together, and how the cloud connectivity is going to help us, and what are all the ideas that this young and a digital India force is bringing back to back this up, and how the vehicles are getting connected to OCPP structures, and how are you going to give the energy management, data acquisition, and all this, like what is your view on this, Vijayana?
Thanks, Javin, for that quick and nice introduction. So yes, I think the biggest opportunity that lies ahead for us, not just for any individual EV company, but for as a country as a whole, is to disrupt the entire mobility space. Because the biggest advantage that we have is both the consumer of energy, which is the EV, is software heavy, and the charging station again is software heavy. Like the entire IoT space, smart edge devices, those use cases have been already proven in different environments. Let's say right from your Alexa device to your Chromecast to you name it, right? So the IoT concept itself has been proven, and we know that the data that you get out of it can help sort of come up with variety of solutions. Now the same thing is now being married with a mobility and a charging solution. Like what Praveen mentioned about OCPP. Yes, standardization would be the way forward. Not just, let's say, the connectivity standardization, even the connector, for example, something as simple as a connector which is being connected to a vehicle, that standardization and then setting up the class of charging, all of that is going to undergo a standardization in some or the other form. Vehicle, that standardization and then setting up the class of charging, all of that is going to undergo a standardization in some or the other form. I think the industry itself, irrespective of who the competitors are, which industry, all of them are going to get to a path where everybody can sort of co-work and coexist. Because one, making EV is one, making the charging stations is another one, managing those charging stations, ensuring that it works seamlessly. I think the best software that can set is where customer does not really have to do anything from his mobile or from his vehicle. So that is what software helps do. The moment you have the customer do too many steps in his mobile app or on the vehicle, then that advantage which software brings to a good digital solution is lost. And speaking of like how you put out your charging stations, all of that can be learned, and that's where like things like AI, ML, what was mentioned before, that is going to help us learn pan India, for example, to know where should I put my charging station, what is my peak load. Like we are also with OCPP 2.0 and all of that, we also speak of dynamic load balancing. And if you already see the Western world where power grids are all like taken for granted, we are still evolving in that. And if all of this is put together, I think we will get to a point where we could leapfrog a technology and make sure that probably 10, 15 years down the line, our not just our charging station, but even our electric grid is also smart enough to be able to handle the load that we are speaking about. And yeah, cloud, you know, the power of compute on the cloud. I don't think I have to say that again about the way cloud has brought transformation across any industry that you're speaking of. And EV and charging station is no different. And the best thing is like I could have a charging network spread all over India, and I could just be sitting centrally and monitoring each one of them. And then in many cases, I'm sure AI ML will be enough to predict that something is going to fall, what you say, falter, or there is a potential position of some charging station going down because it already knows that certain sequence of events leads to a certain condition. So all of that simple stuff which was manually done in the past can now be all automated. And that means uptime for the consumers. See, given everything, most of the consumers, including myself, I charge my vehicle at home. But still, that I need that peace of mind that if I am on the road, I do have a charging station that I can rely on and I can reach there. And then build everything together, stitch not just your charging station and electric vehicle, bring in your smart device, bring in your app, bring in your digital wallet. Everything is going to be then connected, and you know where that is heading as a digital revolution for the entire country of sorts. You can say that. Yeah.
Thank you, Vijayana.
Yes,
Thank you for your thoughts. And yes, indeed, it's going to transform India into a very most advanced nations. Yeah, and also, India, are one of the country where this revolution has started, especially for this EV. And yes, and also the software and data management, cloud. So I think yes, certainly it is a good situation for India going forward. and we look forward, to count on these technologies to give us more user experience and connected technologies. And as of now, yes, there are few things which was known to even the layman, as I said, cloud technologies. Now talking unknown, like which many people are working on, but currently they might not have much idea on what exactly these things are. So this is more on the artificial intelligence and how things are evolving, AI for the EV industry, how these technologies are connected and how this technology is going to transform the EV industry, like Vijayan and like Praveen and everyone mentioned about these vehicles getting connected together, talking to each other, and there is going to be a great scope for the artificial intelligence. And I see this is a great opportunity as well. And I ask Keda, uh, can you please give us some insight on AI and possible business models like V2G, you call it like vehicle to grid. So can you please give us some insight on this, Keda?
Yeah, sure. Before we jump into the AI, I just want to cite one example which is slightly tangential, but that demonstrates our data. Is everyone able to hear me okay? Just want to confirm.
Your audio is a little cracky, but I don't know whether if it is only with me.
No, I mean, I also heard the static, but I thought maybe it's me, so I did not say. Can you try again,
Oh,
Kedar?
okay. Let's try. Yeah, is this okay? Is this better?
Ketan, better you switch off the video.
So actually your voice is cracking a little. So you can keep your video off and try speaking because there is some Right. connectivity. Yes, we can hear you now. Okay. Sounds good. So thank you for the opportunity. And whenever I'm invited to talk on AI, I always like to cite one example that is slightly old and slightly tangentially related, but really demonstrates the power of data. It was a while back, and I will not tell you when it was because then you'll know how old I am. But it was before the age of AI. I was working in Honda East Liberty plant and doing my master's thesis. And over there, they had noticed one problem about the door assembly on the cars. There were a lot of problems, and they had this certain procedure where they had to put the door on first, then do the painting of the car, then remove the door, put all the systems in the door, switches and everything, put it back. And they found a lot of problems happening in doors opening later on. That time they had this mechanism of collecting a lot of minute level of data on assembly line, and they went through the data, did analytics through manual means that time, and figured out that the problems were happening only for the cars that were made in later part of the shift. And what they realized is when the workers had to take the door down and lift the door up, because they were standing for 8 hours, they had started bending their pain in their knees, and so oftentimes they used to bend one leg and put weight on other, and that's why there was a misalignment of doors, and that was causing problems. So they replace the material of the assembly, so the floor material of the assembly line, and then the problem went away and saved the company a huge amount of money. So this is the power of data, and the real power of data can be unleashed when we identify patterns like this, that we see a pattern that the cars are having problem only when they are made, only those cars that are being made late in the shift time. And these are some trends that are going hand in hand. That is the data and IoT and artificial intelligence. That is one trend that is going on for sure. Second trend that is going on is decentralized power generation and decentralized consumption. We'll have, previously there were only a few big hydropower or thermal power plants, and then only the centralized power generation was happening and everybody else was consuming. Now it is solar power, wind power, whatever. We are generating power everywhere, we are consuming power everywhere. And the third opportunity is there are there is a lot of variation that is coming in case of electricity pattern consumption, even for charging, right? Like for petrol vehicles, if you see, there is only one thing that happens when you go to a gas station. You open that lid on the tank, you put the nozzle in, you fill the whole tank or whatever you want, you put it, take the nozzle out, and you walk away. In case of charging, as we, several panel members discussed, there are various use cases. One is the slow charging use case, what you charge at night at your home. Second is the top-up charging use case, where you are going to, like, let's say a mall or something, and you are there for 2 hours. Your car is not fully discharged, but you put it for charging anyway. By the time you leave the mall, done your shopping, you have like several extra kilometers range added. Third is the rapid charging. When you are on highway, you are in a hurry. You don't have like 3 hours to wait just for charging. So you find a rapid charging station. You maybe take a quick snack break or something, charge your car for 30 days. So a lot of these different patterns of consumption and different locations of consumption, different patterns of electricity generation create a huge amount of opportunity for optimization. And optimization is where AI can work best. We can find out vehicle that needs to be charged urgently. We can charge them higher. We can find out the closest charger, in case of emergency. We can also have, there are some, I talked to some people and they're exploring opportunity of peer-to-peer charging, that you have a vehicle battery that is made in a way that that can also charge another vehicle if needed. So like jump start of electric vehicles. This is one huge opportunity of AI. And while in the interest of time, I'll just make a very quick comment on blockchain, because that is an area that is very specific, but I do see a huge potential, especially when it comes to electric vehicle and charging industry per se. A friend of mine had made a very interesting comment some days back. In case of electric vehicles, electricity is everywhere, but charging is nowhere. It was a while back, so it's not that charging is nowhere anymore. They have several charging places available. However, this is an interesting paradox. And there is a electricity. It's a charging mechanism or the network to know the demand, or somehow satisfy the demand, is missing. Blockchain, at its concept, it is just record way of maintaining transactions record that is very reliable. And a lot of these small transactions, we can enable a lot of these small transactions to happen at a lot of places and have them recorded correctly and have them rewarded correctly. Whoever is getting benefit, that person can pay, and whoever is getting providing service, that person can get paid. Very lot of variation is possible in how we conduct business because of the blockchain technology. And one thing that Javin, you mentioned, was vehicle to grid. I know a company here in the United States where I am located right now. They are working on this, precisely what I mentioned, peer-to-peer charging or vehicle to grid charging. You have vehicle, you have big battery, 30 kilowatts or 50 or 100 if you are owning this Tesla models, that is fully charged sitting there. And what you can do possibly is charge your vehicle when the cost of charging is 5 rupees per unit, and then allow your vehicle to put energy in the grid when there is a higher demand and you are getting paid 10 rupees a unit. So that way actually you can make money using vehicle. So that is vehicle to grid. So right now they are working on only fleets, the enabling fleets to provide such a vehicle to grid, but that is very interesting business model. What I see is, provided this, given these trends that are in place, decentralized generation, decentralized consumption, and big data, IoT, and you say, the rapid acceleration of electric vehicles, I think the AI and blockchain offer a very good potential for upcoming business models. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Keda. I think from recording data, I think we have moved to rewarding the data. That's something what India has to now get used to, and we are not talking only the Indian subcontinent based businesses, but we are also talking global, where the mindsets have already reached to a level we can see that they are talking about sending power back to the grid. I think we are a little far off from that, but having the companies, having the people, the technology, the team, I think yes, Indian companies are also going to quickly get up to speed on this, and we are also going to enjoy similar technologies and similar benefits here in India. And of course, how do we achieve this, and how are we going to really talk to these machines, so there are like sensors, like Sapna already mentioned about IoTs. sensors and connected solutions and similar things. So I ask Amit, how can IoT and AI solutions be used for charging station management?
Thank you, Javan. I guess a lot of experts in the field who are also in the panel, they have already mentioned the use of data and visualization. Fortunately or unfortunately, I come from the fleet side of electric vehicles, running one of the biggest cargo fleet platform in the country. That's an on-demand platform for aggregating and booking commercial cargo electric vehicles. We work on more on decentralized charging tech, where we use a lot of. I myself, being a person from typical data analytics and IoT, our major challenge was that we aggregate electric vehicles from any part of the country, be it rural, be it urban. Anyone who has a cargo, basic cargo EV, can put their vehicle on our platform, deploy the vehicle on our platform, and it's our job to give them daily or monthly business. When you talk about a typical IoT or AI based solution, I guess a lot of solutions which are just being orthodoxed in the Indian context are not going to help the fleet side of people, because using a similar configuration of two types of sensors, just like protected switches or data centric sensors sending data, possibly might fit for urban context, and that to passenger mobility, but not for the cargo mobility, because the challenges are different. I give you a very simple example how data just from a mobile tech is not going to do justice to Indian ecosystem, and my phone tech is also important. Unlike passenger mobility, in cargo mobility, fortunately, I'll just tell you a very straightforward fact. In India, EV revolution was not bought by any big player. Unfortunately, it was bought by MSMEs who were that time dealing with the imports of a lot of e-rickshaws in India. But yes, right now you have more than say 6.5 million unregistered e-rickshaws in India, and more than 1.8 million registered e-rickshaws in India. And now the same is happening with the cargo vehicles in India. So problem with working with data and IoT part of this type of solution is that, first of all, these are not general. These are generalized for passenger mobility. I give you a simple example. Let us say that I am using a charging solution which has a protected switch, a MCB in the charger for controlling the surge voltage. So overnight, my driver is charging the vehicle, or any partner driver is charging a vehicle in a semi-urban area. And then, in the case of over voltage, the MCB drops down. So the driver sleeps on the intention that my vehicle is getting charged. But your protected switch, so-called IoT device, in order to save the charger or the vehicle battery, drops down the MCB. So in the morning, when the driver sees the vehicle, he or she realizes that my vehicle is not charged and the MCB is down. So this type of typical IoT based thing, where it's just a protected switch being used, possibly will not suffice the need in the fleet side of it. But yes, the similar AI component added to it, whenever the MCB is getting down, there is a text message which is released from the server to the driver's phone, irrespective of the mobile phone, because in fleet side, drivers don't use smartphones. Cargo EV owners, or let's say informal drivers, they don't have smartphones as such, and even if they have, they don't keep their internet on every time, like you see in Ola, Uber drivers or Blue Smart drivers. They don't have charging points in their EVs, so they don't keep their internet on. So you can't rely on mobile app-based notification from your charging solution. So therein we realized that this IoT is actually backfiring us, and in order to save the charger, the vehicles are not getting charged. So we integrated a phone text solution where the driver used to get a text message overnight as on their phone from our server that your MCB has dropped down. Please go and pick it up, else your vehicle will not get charged, with a basic configuration code. So therein we realized that right now all the solutions being talked about in the country are majorly focused on the passenger mobility, while in the current context, passenger vehicles are not even 0.1% of the actual vehicles on road, being e-rickshaws, e-loaders. So my personal justification for this whole IoT and AI part is that it should not be just a mobile tech dependent, but it should be a phone tech dependent technology, wherein drivers who don't even have smartphones, or those drivers who have smartphones but they don't use it that much, they can still be a part of this inclusive ecosystem, where being a text message also, they can manage their charging, they can help companies to transmit that data. So this is what we are working on with a lot of international companies to solve the challenge of more than 6 million drivers who come from e-rickshaw and e-loaders part. Although we work on e-loaders, but a lot of e-rickshaw players are switching to e-loaders and they face the same problem, where they don't have good charging solution, and the current standard charging solutions are not made for them. So this is something I'll put forward my case, where my request to all charging players will be, because we also work on decentralized charging tech, putting charging points right at drivers' home and controlling it with a lot of AI and data metrics, that we need to, I think, decentralize the charging solution now. We cannot rely on 2-3 types of sensors and make it a uniform way, just copying a 48-volt system from Europe and putting down in India, the way EV battery people are doing. So I guess it will be great to see how EV charging players are coming forward with unique solutions for centralized and decentralized cases.
Sure, Amit. I think that's a message you have given to the industry. You have requested the charging players to gear up and work on technologies that can enable the basic users, whether it be a two-wheeler, three-wheeler, onto the commercial vehicle segment. Yes, I think I cannot agree more with you on this. Certainly, yes. Most of the today's two-wheelers are already equipped with CAN communications, cloud communications, whatnot. Yeah, everything, and even passenger cars for that matter. But yes, rightly as you said, today's fleets and fleet management systems, which is dependent on electric vehicle technologies, they are not upgraded, as most of these chargers are not from the Indian subcontinent or from the European subcontinent or from the American subcontinent. These are mostly the countries which have a very less I am not say quality, but I mean a different approach. So those areas are to be improved, and certainly the technology is already available. It is there in two-wheeler, it is there in passenger car, and certainly the EV charger makers, I think it's a good message to them, and a fabulous discussion with all of you panelists. I really thank you one and all for being here and giving wonderful insights, very useful insights. I hope the industry can take use of this information and also progress in the EV industry and improve digitization and improve connectivity, take use of artificial intelligence. The talent is here, the technology is here, and the commitment from the managements of bigger companies is here. So certainly, yes, I think it's going to be a golden era for the EV industry globally. And thank you one and all for giving me this opportunity to mentor this meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Before ending the session, I would request Praveen sir to now present, since he was not able to do it in the beginning. So, sir, I would request you to present yourself now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to give it a try.
Sure, sir.
Can you confirm if you can see the slides?
Yes, it's looking perfect.
Okay, very good. So yeah, I think there was some glitches in the last times, and so I want to thank you all for waiting for this extra 10 minutes, and I hope it will be worth your time.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So my name is. I will do the introduction also one more time, just to be so that everybody gets who I am and what we are doing as a company. So my name is Praveen Kumar, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of the Ego Network. Today I'll be presenting smart and intelligent and efficient EV network and why do we need it. I think unfortunately the sequence has changed, so a lot of points have been already discussed in the panel session, but nevertheless it is still important. But before I jump on the topic, I want to briefly share about the company, who we are, the founders, the investors, and what we have achieved in the last 3 years. I'm trying to go to the next slide. Can you see the next slide? Okay, thank you. So, Oigo is a brand which is brought by Impactware Technology Solution Private Limited. We have built an end-to-end solution for EV charging offering, which is state-of-the-art charging station, backed by our intelligent and smart management platform, catering to the entire market of business, institutional, public, and home charging. So what we, as a company, we are member of Open Charge Alliance, OCA, which is a body in Netherlands and leading the OCPP protocol and the interoperability test across the globe. There are more than 100 participants, and we are one of the few from India. We are also registered in Make in India and Startup India. Our chargers are certified. We have also built a manufacturing facility in Auric City in Aurangabad. It's a fully automated facility. We are producing at this moment 150 chargers a month. The current capacity is to make it 500 chargers starting January next year, and we can upgrade this to 1,000 chargers a month when there is enough demand for the industry. If you look at our chargers, these are ready to deploy to the mass manufacturing for smart chargers in India. It's a completely technology based. We want to keep our hardware and software ahead of the time, and I will show you in the coming slides why do I say it and why do we need it. These were designed in the Netherlands when I was still there. We have the R&D team also in Netherlands. The other teams are set up in Pune. So we have a 35-member team, including the partners who are working with us. Our focus is still on quite on the R&D part, because, as I said, we want to be ahead of the curve, and that will only come if you have kept a sufficient budget for your technological innovation. As a company, we have set up a mission to be a first choice for at least 2 million people in the network in the next couple of years. We are a mobile first strategy. What does this mean? That we give the power in the hand of the users, that they should be able to do all the required work from the mobile, and they should not call my customer support. That's the ambition. This is a 5-star rated app in both iOS and Android stores. We have tested our chargers and the software CSMS in the Plugfest event multiple times in 2020 and 2021 with more than 10 global players across the globe, whether it being Turkey, Israel, European, Chinese, Singapore, you name it. So it's been tested. And this also, the last point, what I put it, that our chargers are vendor agnostic. So if you take only our chargers and say, no, we don't want your CSMS, that's also fine. It supports, it's OCPP compliant, so you can take others CSMS solution as well. So we are 3 founders. Sayantan Chakraborty, he is also the CEO. He is an MBA from Rotterdam School of Management, industry leader in the running the SaaS-based applications. He is also based in India now. Myself, Praveen Kumar, the CTO. I did my introduction, so I'm not going to read it. Dhiman, who is the co-founder and CEO and also the CMO. He'll be doing a presentation tomorrow. So those who are here and will be there tomorrow can also hear from him. He is a serial entrepreneur. He has also was running karaoke until 2018 when he sold and joined us as the founding team member. So this is a team based in Netherlands, who are leading the R&D for the company. We are well supported by the 2 investors, Rishi Bagla, who is our leading investor and also the advisor, established name in the automobile area or the industry, very renowned industrialist. He is helping us also with the manufacturing plant in the Aurangabad. Olivier Guillemont, he is a French resident residing in Netherlands. He is heading the global innovation and fintech. He is also joined as advisor to the board. He is also helping us in the discussion with the other advanced technology in the Western world, and how the technologies are evolving and how we have to stay ahead of the curve. I assume you guys are still hearing me, and I'm not lost.
Of course, Praveen, we are really we're enjoying it.
Yeah, so this is a brief product portfolio. I just wanted to share what we have built in the last 3 years. So these are all designed in the lab, which I just showed you in the beginning, a few slides back. And if you see the green tag at the end, those chargers are already in production. So those are being delivered to our customers and clients across the India. We have more than 20 installation only in Pune, and we have installation in 4 different states in India. As you see that we are also building the home personal chargers, and also there are on the DC chargers. I will not talk more about this because idea is for me is to really talk about the software part. But in case if you have any inquiries or you want to know more, these are really the really advanced chargers. In the sense, I heard that a lot of people talking about the grid. So these are you can do the load management, the profile management, the notifications. If I think Amit mentioned that the charger was not charging because MCB had a fault. So we have a notification in place. If charging stops, you will get a notification, and it's SMS based. So these things are already there, Amit, if you can hear me.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
These are some salient features which I just want to talk about, so that these are built to last for long. I mean, not built only for a couple of years. So it's IP54, the A grade components. So this should all last for a long time. As I mentioned, load balancing and smart charging features are there. The complete chargers are modular, based on the modular design, in the sense that, if something goes wrong, for example, MCB or something else, I don't have to change the whole PCB circuit because of that. So that's why all the chargers which I showed in the last slide has been made and designed like that. It's a highly interoperable. As I mentioned, we have already tested our chargers with CSMS from different countries. We have also started testing this with Indian players. Mobile first approach I talked about. No vendor login because it's OCPP compliant. We are using the industry standard protocol, so we can switch between CSMS or the chargers. Internet charging management system, which is basically the presentation. So I will talk about this in the coming slides. These are the some of the tests which I was talking about as part of PlugFest and others. What we have done, the compliance test. On the top, what you see is that the chargers which we have tested with the other players, and on the bottom you see the platform which we have tested with the leading companies across the globe. This list is continuously growing, so it's not by no means is the full list, but these are some of the big players which we have tested. Now, coming to the point, why smart, intelligent, and efficient network is required. I think this was a very good discussion in the panel session. I've used one of the challenges. So even though we know that Europe has a very good electric infrastructure, I could share. This is my personal experience. So what you see on the left-hand side is the apps which I had to download when I had to travel outside Netherlands for 4,000 kilometers when I went to Norway. And when I went to Spain, you see the other apps which I had to download when I had to go south of Netherlands. So Netherlands is consisting of 28% of the complete infrastructure. But when you go out, you still have to download a lot of apps. And on the right-hand side, you see the tons of RFIDs which you need to carry. This problem still persists even in the European world, and I'm sure in West America also. And the reason why I want to bring this that we should not repeat the same mistakes what the other countries have done it. We have to learn. And as a participant of this, I would request all the players to also work together with us, with other players, how we could make the life easy for the EV user. If it is efficient for them, it is ease of use is easy. I think they will join this EV revolution much faster than what we think. I heard in the previous session some numbers what we are anticipating in 2030. I have personal belief that we'll be growing much faster than that. And basically, these are the problems which we had faced as a company, and based on this, what our complete solution has been designed. So if you look on high level, so we have the mobile app on the front end side, which the used by the EV consumers, and on the back end side, you have the portal. We call it Go Connect. These are all cloud-based communication. So GoMe is also available for Android and iPhone. I mean, it just really takes 2 minutes to download it, install it, top up your wallet, and start charging. And Go Connect portal is a B2B portal, which is really state of the art. I mean, starting from member management, partner onboarding, settlement, transaction, and asset, you can do everything remotely. The guy who is sitting on the table, he can really sit on the table and need not go to the site, except for the first installation, which I cannot avoid, unfortunately, at this moment. From the strategy perspective, what we have also built is that GoMe will be our one gateway for all types of charging. So as a user, you don't have to download multiple apps, whether it's a public charging, the captive charging, or the personal charging in your home or in the societies or the apartments where you're staying. These are some of the screens which I have shown. I will walk you through, but I have also videos. If time permits, I will show you. What you see here, basically, that you can look up all the charging station available on the very first screen. You can apply filters. For example, you can also apply for the notification. You can mark as favorite. Just to give an example, if there is a charger which are, let's say, 100 meters from your home, and if you can mark as favorite, and you can also nominate yourself for receiving the notification, you can really get when the charger is available for charging. So this will definitely ease. If you don't have your personal charger at home, you can really, as soon as the charger is free, you get a notification. You go there, put your car, and come back. So these are the features which are already built. It's pretty easy to scan the QR code and start charging. All the details of the charger are available. What kind of vehicles does it support? You on the third middle screen, you also see all rates. So what we have already built in is the time of day thingy, in the sense at what time, what are the charges, and based on that, you could also get the charging build for your charging session. This is quite advanced. I would say that in our backend application, this could be really set in a way for the different installation. If it is month of the year, for example, January to March, if the rates are different, the system will automatically pick if the rate cards are built like that. The fourth screen is basically the remote charging start and stop. It shows you the complete information. What is the power consumed? What is the total cost? What is the fixed cost? What are the taxes? You can do the stop charging also from mobile phone. So we do support remote start and remote stop. And the right hand screen is talking about the wallet and your transaction history. So it's a top up is very easy. It's we are using industry standard Razorpay. It supports all the UPI, net banking, and different kinds of wallets. Whatever you charge, you can see the transaction. If there are credits which are applied, you can also see the credits on what has been applied. Now I'll move to the Go Charge. I'm not going to talk much, but this is what we have built it, that not everybody may have the app when they are traveling across different cities or in big cities, let's say different parts. Let's say if they are not still member of GoMe app or GoEgo network, and they come across one of our chargers or one of our partner chargers who is on the network, they can quickly scan and top up and start charging. So a reason to do is that when he is in transiting, he may not decide to download the app. That's why this simple feature has been built. In the background, this looks exactly same as GoMe app. The profile will be created, so if he returns, he does not have to do much. He just have to update some of his profile details, and he can start charging and he can become a member. Now I go back. So this is the portal part. If you see, this is also completely cloud-based, future-proof platform. So what we have done that we have broken down the different the complete value chain in the EV charging infrastructure. And there are different roles which we had identified. And based on these roles, we have built the Go Connect portal. This is highly scalable. I have already tested with 100,000 concurrent charging session at one go. We could make it even more scalable. The charge point operators, so people have different view. I have also a presentation, the video for complete Go Connect, which I could share. These are some of the screens you could see. You have the complete overview of all the different kinds of data points. I think I mentioned in one of the panel session. What is the kilowatt consumption? How are the charging session? Are there any failure? These are all real time. I must say it's a multi-level, multi-dimensional reporting, but it's also real time. So you can ask your operation team. That you don't have to look at the screen all the time, but you could also set up the alert mechanism that if there is a failure, send you a text message. And then you can log in and see what's going on. The rate card, I already mentioned that this the time of day has been configured. You could also set up the per kilowatt per minute fixed rates. It's a highly advanced, and you could also percolate the role-based hierarchy from organization to a different location to a charge points. If you want to have a different rate at a particular charge point, that's possible, but you don't have to configure rates at 100 charges. If you want to have the same rates, you could just set it at the level of organization and it will percolate. For the supporting team, the logging and troubleshooting, these are all real-time data we are getting. Data is also sent back for the statistical analysis. I will go to the next slide. Yeah. Can I want to check if I have 5 more minutes to just show the videos. Okay, then I will start with the GoMe app, and I'm gonna share the screen again. Do you still see it?
Are you a proud electric vehicle owner? Contributing to wellness of the environment? Go Networks GoMe app is your one-stop destination to stay charged up.
Sorry, I just wanted to check if you can also hear the video. Thank you.
With phone OTP-based login, getting started is a super easy affair on GoMe. Intuitive map interface and all you need to find the nearest charging station for your electric vehicle in no time. Manage all your RFID charge cards at one place. Recharge your wallet with several easy-to-use payment options. Use this application to control charging of your electric vehicle with tap of a button. Get a session report on charging completion. Set your preferences and manage your profile seamlessly. Add the electric vehicles you own, and you will be amazed to discover the smart stuff the app can do for you. Download GoMe app now to explore the bundle of additional features that could make your charging experience a fun. Stay connected. Stay charged up.
Okay, I will go to the CSMS part, and this is what I'm going to show is the admin part. So not everybody can see all this, but I just want to show what are the features we have built in.
In this video, we explain the onboarding process in Go Network. Consider Gloria Coffee is looking forward to installing Go Network CV chargers in Pune, Mumbai and more locations in future. We refer Gloria Coffee as LCP, which means Local Charge Point Operator. Go Networks Go Connect portal enables you to connect with your assets, your network and your data. With Go Connect portal, the Go administrator has overview of all organizations in the Go network. Let's first add Gloria Coffee as an LCP organization with identification and address details. Then we add Pune City as location to this organization. More locations can be added by admin later. We also add owner to this organization. The owner of organization can add more users in the organization for their operations. Then we add default rates for the organization. Organization can add more rate cards later as needed. The rate cards can be added with fixed and per kilowatt-hour price with our update precision. You can also set up surcharge or discount of particular hours of the day. Example rate calculation is shown based on input prices. Now the organization onboarding is complete. In the next video, we show how to onboard charging stations. Stay connected. Stay charged up. In this video we demonstrate onboarding and management of charging stations. Let's consider Gloria Coffee, which is newly onboarded into GoEgo network. Charge station onboarding and management is done by CPO, which means Charge Points Operator. Go Connect portal enables you to connect with your assets, your network, and your data. CPO has overview of all charge stations in GoEgo network. Here we onboard first charge station for Gloria Coffee in Pune City. CPO captures all the necessary details of station such as station model, serial number, default rate and activation status. Location coordinates are also added so that it is visible to all GoEgo network user with GoMe mobile app. More charge stations can be onboarded in same or other locations. CPO has overview of all charge stations to monitor them real-time with Go Connect portal.
Because of the time, I will move to the other video. I think this gives you a good overview of the function of CPU and what the portal can do. Sorry, the EMSP part I will go.
In this video we explain GoEgo Network EMSP role, which stands for E-Mobility Service Provider. As EMSP, GoEgo Network enables access to a variety of charging points around a geographic area and help EV drivers find charging stations, start charging events and collect payment with various methods. Go Connect portal enables you to connect with your assets, your network and your data. Go Connect portal provides the following key features for EMSP role. Overview of EV members with multi-dimensional drill down. Overview of member wallet, coupons and transactions. Physical and virtual charge cards management. Provide high-quality support to members through workflows. View and manage charge card requests from members and manage the print and dispatch flow of physical charge cards. Create periodical overviews of the charging sessions per customer. Detailed overview including the calculated costs and volume of the charge sessions. View historical and ongoing charging transactions on your network. Coupon and rewards management. Coupon can be printed and distributed to members for availing credits for sharing on GoEgo network. Charge station review management to keep an eye on EV driver posted reviews. Here are some of the quick features available to EMSP users in Go Connect portal. Stay connected. Stay charged up.
So I think that was the last presentation. I want to thank all of you to have the patience at the late evening, because of the delay. Thanks again. And if you have any question, you can reach out to me or the company. I'll be happy to address all these questions, or if we have any question around the standards or something which we could work upon, I'm more than happy, and my team will be more than happy to collaborate. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So
Thank
much.
you.